On this episode of The Hometown Traveler, we're going to find out exactly what makes up the Niagara region of Ontario, Canada. Let's go! Hello everyone, I am Brian, your host here on The Hometown Traveler. I have been a Niagara region resident almost all of my entire life, so I created this channel to give you some of the insights into what exactly makes up Niagara and what you can see and do when you come to visit. So for this first ever episode, I thought we would take a look at what exactly is the Niagara region, what it is geographically, and how to get here if you're traveling, and a few other things as well. First things first, Niagara is more than just one city with a really big waterfall. Geographically speaking, the Niagara region is located in southwestern Ontario, in the country of Canada. It's the Eastern time zone here, which means the time in Niagara is the same as the time in Toronto and New York City. Three sides of the Niagara region are bordered by water. The north border of the region is the southern shore of Lake Ontario. The southern border is the north shore of Lake Erie, and the eastern edge of the region is the Niagara River, which also serves as the border between Canada and the United States. The western edge of the Niagara region runs from Lake Ontario to Lake Erie, bordering on the regions of Hamilton and Wentworth. There are a total of 12 municipalities in Niagara. They are Niagara-on-the-Lake, St. Catharines, Lincoln, Grimsby, West Lincoln, Pelham, Thorold, Welland, Niagara Falls, Fort Erie, Port Colborne, and Wainfleet. As well as being surrounded on three sides by water, the Niagara region is also split almost in half by a man-made water feature. The Welland Ship Canal, part of the St. Lawrence Seaway system, runs through the region from St. Catharines in the north to Port Colborne in the south. The canal connects Lakes Erie and Ontario because, let's face it, there's a slight obstacle in the way if ships try to use the Niagara River. Depending on when you're watching this video, I'll either soon have or there already is an episode all about the Welland Canal right here on the Hometown Traveler. So that's what makes up the Niagara region geographically at least, but how do you get here if you're traveling? Well, the nice thing about the Niagara region, it is really easy to get here. So first let's take a look at if you're arriving by air. Niagara is actually serviced by no less than 4 international airports, as well as having its own small plane airport in Niagara-on-the-Lake. You can get to Niagara by flying into any one of either Hamilton, Toronto, Buffalo, or Niagara Falls, New York. Toronto is the furthest away, about an hour and a half's drive, although that could be 2.5 hours depending on the time of day you arrive in Toronto. Hamilton Airport arrivals will take about 45 minutes to get to Niagara once you get your bags in your car. The two closest airports are actually in the United States. Buffalo International Airport, which is on the far eastern side of Buffalo, is about a 20-minute car ride to the border right at Fort Erie. But if you travel from somewhere serviced by either Spirit Air or Allegiant, you can fly right into Niagara Falls International Airport and be literally 10 minutes away from the Rainbow Bridge right at the falls. If you really want to fly right into the area, FlyGTA Airline offers multiple flights a day from the Billy Bishop Airport on Toronto Island right to the Niagara District Airport located in Niagara-on-the-Lake. If you're traveling into the area by automobile, whether that's car, van, RV, or whatever, here are the main highways you need to know about. The major highway coming in from Toronto and Hamilton area and from Buffalo at the other end of the region is the Queen Elizabeth Highway, otherwise known as the QEW. It runs all the way from Toronto down through Niagara, right to the Peace Bridge which connects Fort Erie and Buffalo, New York. Once you're here in the Niagara area, there are a few main arteries you should know about. Highway 406 runs from the QEW in North St. Catharines right through that city, then through Thorold and Welland, and carries on all the way down to Port Colborne. To get to Niagara-on-the-Lake, you get off the QEW right after you go over the canal, or just before you go over the canal, depending which way you're coming from. You'll see the signs. And you make your way to Regional Road 55. Highway 55 takes you right through wine country and into the heart of Niagara-on-the-Lake. Heading from St. Catharines towards Niagara Falls, the next exit is Highway 405. This route is an alternate to get to Queenston and the very north end of Niagara Falls. The 405 will take you right to the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge to the United States, so make sure you don't miss the last exit at Stanley Avenue or you will end up having to go over the bridge into the U.S. Then there's the short highway which takes you right into Niagara Falls. Exiting off the QEW from both directions and taking you right into the falls is Highway 420. That's right, the 420. Niagara has a numbered highway which makes everyone who knows what the number represents giggle. These are probably the most photographed highway signs in Ontario, at least. The region stopped replacing street signs that went missing because they were going missing so often. If you don't know what 420 represents, well, Google it. Now, if you're driving in from the United States through the state of New York, follow the highways towards Buffalo. There's tons of signs for the Peace Bridge in the Buffalo area. If you're coming in a little further north in the state, you can cross either the Rainbow Bridge in Niagara Falls or the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge. These are the only three main bridges across the Niagara River. There is a fourth smaller bridge in Niagara Falls called the Lower Bridge, which is only open to holders of Nexus border passes. And finally, there's one road in Niagara I would be remiss in not mentioning. The Niagara River Parkway runs all the way from Niagara-on-the-Lake to Fort Erie, following the course of the entire Niagara River. It's 55 kilometers long, roughly an hour-and-a-half drive during tourist season, and Winston Churchill called it the prettiest Sunday afternoon drive in the world. The Parkway is a great way to see the beauty of Niagara. No matter how you get to the Niagara area, you can also get here by bus and train at certain times of the year. There are many ways to move around locally. There's a pretty good transit system in each of the various cities in the region, so bus is always an option. There's lots of taxis around, especially in the tourist and event areas. As of right now, Uber is the only major ride-sharing company here, although Lyft is now in Toronto and Hamilton, so it's only a matter of time, I'm sure, before it makes its way down this way. And the Niagara Parks Commission runs its own WeGo bus system to transport tourists and locals around much of Niagara Falls and around the Niagara Parkway. So that about does it for this Niagara Overview episode. Please give a thumbs up if you found the information useful. Make sure you hit the subscribe button over on the side over there to get future episodes and the bell to be notified when they do come out, which is every Thursday afternoon. Before I leave you, one quick question for you. What can I make for you as far as videos about the Niagara region? What would you like to know about this beautiful part of the country? Leave your answer in the comments section below. Thanks again for joining me. Hope to see you again soon on the Hometown Traveler. Cheers.